Hello and welcome, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
If you're new here, I'm Chris,
I'm Tracy.
and thanks for stopping by.
In this video, we're bringing you Salem.
This is our first time that we've ever been there, so come along with us. Upon arriving in Salem, it was very late, so we checked into the historical Hawthorne Hotel. We did a quick walk at the Salem proper, which is the big park that everybody knows about next door. We went back to our room, went to bed, and got ready for our next day. On our first full day, we went out and strolled the surroundings and the town, and then headed down to Estes Street. This is when we realized real quick that nothing was opened up and would not be opened up until at least 10 or 11 a.m. And we were notified that everything closes around 5 to 6 p.m. as well. We only had this morning in Salem because we had other plans for the rest of the day. So we were kind of bummed that we weren't able to go into the shops. But we made the most of the morning and we went sightseeing, exploring, and enjoyed the beautiful weather. You guys know that when you're down on Estes Street, you have to stop by the Bewitch Statue and take a few photos. While we were out exploring the downtown area, we came up on the Witch Trials Memorial and the Old Burying Point Cemetery. The Salem Witch Trial Memorial is in downtown Salem, and it is dedicated to the 20 victims that were executed during the 1692 witch trials. This park was opened and dedicated in 1992, and it features a circular granite enclosure with low walls inscribed with excerpts from the victims' pleas of innocence. They are abruptly cut off mid-sentence to symbolize society's indifferences. There's also benches that are each engraved with the victim's name and death date, inviting quiet reflection. There's 6 locust trees that encircle this inner space, representing the injustice nature of the accusations, since these are the trees that are believed to be the type of trees used in the execution. The memorial is located on Liberty Street, adjacent to the Old Burying Point Cemetery. The memorial is open from dawn to dusk and serves as a spot for contemplation of tolerance and the danger of intolerance. And when you visit Salem, this is a must stop, because the whole reason that people go to Salem is because of the witch trials. Right next to it is the Old Burying Point Cemetery, also known as Charter Street Cemetery. And this is Salem's oldest burial ground, established in 1637, and is one of the nation's most ancient. Originally called Ye Burying Point due to its position overlooking the South River, it spans about an acre and holds over 500 graves, many marked by weathered slat headstones from the 17th and 18th century. It is the resting place of some notable figures, including Salem Witch Trials Judge John Hawthorne and Bartholomew Gedney, a Mayflower passenger Richard Moore, and a Revolutionary War hero Sarah Bradley Bolton. There is no executed witches that were buried here, and the site reflects the Puritan religion era burial practices and includes unmarked graves of enslaved individuals. After the memorial, we moseyed on over to the House of the Seven Gables. We did not do the tour, and that's probably the one thing that we really regret not doing. That is something that we wanted to do, but we just didn't feel like we actually had time this morning to do it, and we planned on coming back to do it, and we never made it back. And before we knew it, it was time to head back to our hotel so we can begin the adventures that we had scheduled for that day. On our way to our next adventure for the day, we made a detour and made a stop in Plymouth. That way we can see the rock that all the pilgrims stepped on when getting off the Mayflower. Then we had to make a trip over to Fall River. You know that when you're hanging out with Tracy and Deb, something paranormal's got to be involved. And we had to do a tour of the Lizzy Borden house, which we would highly recommend. We really enjoyed this tour, and our guide was very informative. After the tour, we made a stop at the cemetery to see the gravesite of the Borden family, and then made a stop over to Lizzy Borden's mansion that she bought after the trial, called the Maplecroft. And since one paranormal place wasn't enough, we decided to take the short drive on over to the Conjuring House. And if you don't know, it's up for sale. And if you would like to buy it and invite us to spend the night there, we would gladly do so. We got back to Salem kind of late, and the only place that we could find that was open was out of this galaxy. It was Flying Saucer Pizza Company. This restaurant has a Star Wars, Star Trek, space theme to it. We got a sausage pizza and some chicken strips. We were really, really hungry and the food was really, really good. This is the best food that we ate the whole time that we were in Salem. After our delicious meal, we walked back towards our hotel, and on the way there, we just explored more of Salem and the surrounding area around our hotel. So on day 2, we began by dressing up as witches and going through the town and getting some pictures taken. One of the stops that we made was the Witch House. It's located at 310 Essex Street. The Witch House, formerly known as the Jonathan Corrin House, is a preserved 19th century timber framed house, and it stands as a stark reminder of one of America's darkest chapters. It's the only surviving building in Salem with direct ties to the trials. It is the house of one of the judges who condemned the witches. You have the option of doing a tour of the house. We were unable to get in. That would probably be one of my biggest complaints about going during the weekdays in Salem, is that a lot of the places are closed, or they have minimal tours, or they're rented out for a special occasion of some sort. And we ran into a lot of that this trip. So a few buildings down from the Witch House is the Ropes Mansion. And the Ropes Mansion is a beautiful Georgian colonial house built in 1727 for a merchant named Samuel Bernard. Later it was acquired by the Ropes family, who owned it for 4 generations. It is now managed by the Peabody Essex Museum and is furnished in the original 18th and 19th century furnishings. It's open for a free self-guided tour on the weekends. The Ropes Mansion also has a beautiful and delightful colonial revival garden that is open daily to the public. And most people know it as the Devil House from the movie Hocus Pocus. Then next we stopped by the first church in Salem, which is between the Witch House and Rope's Mansion. This is not the first church in Salem, but it's part of the first religion in Salem. Then we went off to the Pioneer Village, which was closed for the day. It is only open on the weekends. But the Pioneer Village is the first living history museum and was built in 1930 to reflect the history and the buildings from 1630 Salem. It would have been cool to go see. Then off to the hotel we went because Tracy was tired of looking like a witch and she needed to get into something a little bit more comfortable. Then with all the walking we become very hungry, so we stopped at Red Sandwich Shop. The food was really good and the prices were decent as well. I had the cubit sandwich and Tracy had some breakfast with toast and eggs. After our lunch, it was actually time for the stores to open up in Salem. So we hit Estes Street, and of course Tracy had to check out the pet store first. Then it was time to do some souvenir shopping. There's many options and stores to choose from, so we had a blast just walking through the different stores. Next, it was time to see Nydia at Black Craft Coffee. And FYI, we were unable to see Borden. She's the famous witch that you'll see sometimes out on SS Street. But she does have a line of clothes and souvenirs at the Black Craft Coffee area. It was kind of weird not getting any gourmet coffee until after 11 o'clock, but just like anything else in Salem, those don't even open up till 11. As we were heading back to the room, I turn around and Tracy's holding another man's hand, a 12-foot skelly. And one of the last stores we went into was called Hex. It's a witchery store that has like candles and voodoo dolls and books and witch spells and much, much more. And Tracy walked out of there with a bag full of stuff, proving that she is a witch. Then we found a store that has Harry Potter souvenirs. After shopping, we headed over to the Salem Witch Board Museum, also known as the Ouija Board Museum. This museum showcases the Ouija board, and you can learn the history about the Ouija board there. This museum is really, really cool and informative, and the guy running it is awesome to talk to. then off to catch the trolley. The trolley takes you around town and you hit a lot of the famous spots in Salem, as well as just sightseeing and enjoying the weather. If you're planning on doing the trolley, it's worth it. I would say to do either the trolley or do a walking tour. We did both of them, as you're going to see here a little bit later on, and they both overlapped each other. After riding around town in the trolley, it was time to head on over to the International Monster Museum. The International Monster Museum is a museum dedicated to, as it says, the international monsters. It's really well done, and there's a lot of photo opportunities there. It's pretty cool that they actually let you take your camera in there and take pictures and record. And since we hadn't done enough museums yet on this trip, we decided to check out the Halloween Museum next. And the Halloween Museum talks about the history of Halloween, as well as they have a bunch of decorations. After all the museums, it was time to go on the ghost walking tour. We got there a little early, so we went on over to the artist row and checked out a lot of the paintings that were hanging in the windows and the murals that were on the walls. Then it was time for the Witch City Walking Tour. So the Witch City Walking Tour does the exact same thing the trolley did. We walked around and we seen several of the sites and got a little bit more detail and history of those sites and brief description of what happened in the witch trials. I think that we enjoyed the walking tour just a little bit more than the trolley, but they're both about the same. It's just depending on if you'd rather walk or if you'd rather ride a trolley. For dinner, we ate at Village Tavern, and we ate the late menu because everything closed at like 9:30. If you like bar food, it's fine, but other than that, it wasn't really anything special. And up to this point, we had a really busy day, but Tracy and Deb still wanted to go out and get dressed up as ghosts and go through a photo shoot. So here's those pictures. On our final morning in Salem, we had to stop at Procter's Ledge, which is another memorial for those who were accused of being witches and lost their lives. And the location is where the executions actually took place. Up on the top of the hill, history has shown that they lost their lives up there, and then once they were pronounced deceased, they just rolled them into a ditch and covered them with dirt up there. As we wrap up this video, there's a few things that we would like to discuss. Our favorite thing, or at least my favorite thing, was the history of Salem and exploring some of that. What was yours?
My favorite thing was the walking tour and seeing the Bewitch Statue.
I think our one disappointment is that Salem really doesn't cater towards the tourist. Businesses open up late, most of them during the week, because we went during the week, opened up between 10 and 11, and almost everything closed at 5 or 6 p.m. And then after around 8 o'clock, it is hard to find anywhere decent to eat that's not fast food or at a tavern. Would you agree?
I agree.
But overall, we enjoyed Salem. I would say that if you're going to do a walking tour or a trolley, you do one or the other. You don't do both. A lot of it is overlapped. I preferred the walking tour because it felt like you got closer to the actual sites that she was talking about. The trolley tour, though, was very informative as well. But overall, I don't know if we'd go back to Salem. If we do, it'd probably be the week of Halloween. And we don't have that planned anytime soon. Anything else?
No, I don't believe so.
And now we'd like to thank you for watching, and let's do those YouTube things.
Like, subscribe, and comment.
And we will see you on our next adventure.